we're talking about guns, most specifically guns and movies. When people find out that I make Western films, the question always comes up, do you use real guns? It especially comes up since recently we had the tragedy on Alec Baldwin's film where the cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed. And people always ask me, do you use real guns? So today we'll get into that, but the answer is mostly no, but sometimes yes. Okay, let's get into it. So I've been making Westerns for like decades now. I've been making them with other filmmakers, other directors to hire me as an actor. I'm sometimes hired as a cinematographer, but mostly at Winter's Film Group, we make our own Westerns. And over the years, I worked out a way to be safe on set because there's nothing that scares me more than guns. And I've worked a job where you had to have a gun. I know what guns can do. I've seen what guns can do. And it's not pretty. And when you introduce a weapon on a movie set, anything can happen. I mean, I was hired once as a cinematographer, and I showed up. The initial cinematographer was let go, and they hired me. I walked in the third day, started making this movie. Nobody knew me. I just started in, and we did a take, and they said cut, and all of a sudden, one of the actors is pointing a rifle at me, just holding it right at my chest. And I very calmly said, "Is that a real rifle?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Would you please not point it at my chest ever again?" And he said, oh yeah, sorry. And then he walked off. And there was no armor or prop master on this movie. So I was pretty much heads up the rest of the show, making sure that guns weren't pointed at me and they weren't loaded. But when we work, there's always someone in charge of the guns. And you have to have someone holding them, possessing them between takes and at lunch and everything else. That person would also give a safety meeting. They'd work with, if I'm directing the film, we discuss everything that's going to happen. Now, many times, I've taken that job myself. Like if I'm not in the movie, I've even done it when I'm in the movie because I'm really crazy about gun safety because nothing scares me more than introducing a gun on a movie set. Horses and guns in Westerns, they make the Westerns, but they're also both very dangerous in their own way. With horses, we get the best horses. We bring a wrangler. Same with guns. If I'm handling it, I handle it. And it's number one. It's just number one. So what we do is we mostly use blank guns. And when I say blank guns, I don't mean a real gun that fires a big blank. And a big blank would be one like this. This is a 45 blank. And you can see the things in there. There's gunpowder, and then there's this thing that flies out the front here. That can hurt you. Now what we use are these little guns from Italy, and they're called Brunis. And they look the part, you see. They look legit. For a movie, they look really good. And what they do is they take this blank right here. It's 9mm 380, and it goes in just like a regular revolver. And you always check the cylinder, empty, empty, empty. But with these blanks, you put them in here, and you spin it, and then these guns, the Western guns are single action. I'm sure everybody knows that. And single action, you mean you have to pull the hammer back to be able to shoot it. And that's how they were back then. They didn't have Glocks. They didn't have that. So they were starting to get double action then. So this is what they have to do. You have to pull this back and then fire it, and that's what it do. Now, the reason I pick these, and they're very safe, because the barrel is plugged. There's a metal piece in front of the cylinder. So nothing can ever fly through the barrel and come out the front of the barrel. It just can't happen, physically happen. So what happens is, you can see the gun, it has a little extra space in front of the cylinder. So what happens is when this blank goes off, the smoke and the flame comes out here. around there. So nothing can come out the front of the barrel. It's impossible to shoot anyone with this gun. The only way you can hurt someone is to hit them on the head with it. And if you put your eye up to it and did it, maybe you could get hurt. Or you can, one time I had an actor, he wanted to do, gunfighting and fan it. And I had a long talk with him and I said, look, you can fan it, but just make sure when you're fanning, you pull the trigger after your hand goes over the top, because you're going to burn yourself. And he did. He burned himself, and he was doing the take. Ow! But that's it. So these things, you cannot shoot anything out the barrel. And that's why I like them. So most of our guns, we have a whole complement of these. You can see them here. We have them in rifle form. We have them in revolver form. And that's what we use. And we treat them, though, like real guns. And there can't be a gun accident ever if you follow the 4 rules of guns. And I'm sure you all know it, but I'll repeat them. And number 1 is all guns are always loaded, even if they're fake. We treat them like they're loaded. Even if you know it's not loaded, it's loaded. So what does that mean? You don't point it at people, you don't play with it. It's a loaded gun. And the second one is you keep your finger off the trigger. Well, that's the third one. But the second one is don't point it at anything you don't want to destroy. That's a person, your head, your cat, a window, anything. Third is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. You keep it on the rail, like right there. And then the fourth is know your target and know what's behind it. So those 4 things cover all guns, all gun accidents. Because number 1, they're all loaded. So how could you shoot someone or shoot if you're treating it like, people always say, oh, don't worry, it's not loaded, and kaboom. So we treat even the blank guns like a real gun. The other thing we do is we get a lot of extras come in, and we live in Arizona, so a lot of people, they do reenactments, they're in shooting things, they'll be at parks and things, and they'll have gunfights and fall down and shoot. And these guys are very experienced, and some of them use real 45s, real weapons, and some of them use the blanks. But we have people show up with holster only. No bullets, just a holster. And we make them, if they want to have a gun, they leave it in the car. No gun that we don't introduce on the set is brought in, and we check everybody. And then we handle the guns, we hand them out. Now, a lot of times, the extras won't need a gun that fires. So you'll have something like this. This is like an old Daisy BB gun, but we have some other ones that don't fire at all. They're just like props. They don't, I mean, they might click, some are rubber. So those guys that never pull them out, that's what they get. The people that are going to be in gunfights, they'll get something like this, the Brunies that fire the blank. And what we do is we load it, we hand it to them, and if I have someone working on set doing the armory, they bring it in and he says, this is what they told Alec Baldwin. The gun is cold. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics there, but if someone tells you the gun is cold, I mean, you believe them. But I go a step further. If someone comes in and says, gun is cold, gun is hot, whatever, I look. I physically take the time and I look. And I look at everyone else's weapon too, because a lot of times I'm in the scenes and I don't want to get shot in the eye. I mean, the other thing too about this is we're careful, but we're also very careful because we're the producers. Like, if something happens, even if it wasn't my fault, whose fault is it? My fault, Patty's fault, the producer's fault. So we're in charge of anything that happens on the set. So that's why we designed this system to use these blanks. And we also get replica guns. Like we bought a Stagecoach shotgun, and it looks really good. Look at it. It looks great. I'd ride on a Stagecoach with this. It opens up. It fires. Look at this. But it's impossible to shoot because it's a replica. I mean, it just can't fire. It looks it and it opens up. Now we also will use antiques. Like we have this old antique shotgun here. And that one we like because it just looks so legitimate. But this one we check carefully. You don't want to have any bullets in there, any shells. So we check that, and this is so old. I think if you put a shell in there, it might just blow up. I mean, but that's another story. We also have them in rifle form. These are the same. They have a seared barrel. I mean, a plug barrel, so nothing can come out of the front. So when we have a lot of actors on set and they all have this, I feel safe knowing that there's no way someone can get shot with this gun. Like, it's just impossible. They can burn themselves, they can drop it on their foot, they can hit it with someone, but no one's going to get shot with these guns. Now, when we introduce a real gun, it's so careful. We clear the set. Usually we bring in a real gun because we want the flash and the smoke. So what we'll do is we'll set the scene, we'll bring in the gun, we'll load it with blanks, and these kind of blanks are these. They'll either in 45 or this is a 38. And we'll put it in a real weapon that they look exactly like these. And then it'll be all choreographed. They'll shoot, and sometimes we'll tie the camera off, we'll turn it on and walk away. Everybody walks away. We have also done plexiglass, because the one thing about these blanks is they shoot a wad, these do, and it'll fly out. So within a certain amount of feet, you can get killed. I mean, there was a guy long time ago, his name was John Eric Hexum, and he was in a Western TV show in the 60s, I think it was. And he had a real gun that had blanks in it, and he was walking around the set. He took the gun and put it to his temple and said, "Hey, look at this," and shot himself. And it didn't have a bullet in it, but it had the blank, and the wad went into his temple and killed him. I mean, and then you think of poor Brandon Lee. I mean, I don't know exact specifics, but what I heard was they had a real gun, and they sometimes put in dummy rounds that looked like the bullet, like the lead bullet, and they put them in the cylinder here. And someone had left one in the cylinder. So when they came back, they put a blank, one of these, that everyone knew didn't have a bullet in it, so it was perfectly safe, right? But nobody checked the gun to make sure there wasn't one of those fake bullets in there. And they're not fake bullets, they're a bullet piece, they're a piece of lead with nothing behind it, so it just sits there. It's like but if you then put a blank behind it and fire it, well, guess what? It fired and went into his stomach, and I think it was a 44 caliber, and it killed him. I mean, it killed him. So we're very aware that guns are dangerous. So, but how do you make a Western without guns? I mean, that's the deal. So these are our guns, and we have quite a few of them. We also have them for modern day movies. We have replica guns. We have some that also shoot these blanks. And these are very much different than the other blanks. I know they call them blanks, but to me, I think they're a really juiced up cap. I mean, that's a lot of gunpowder in there. But again, it can't go out the barrel. But we treat them like they're loaded. Now, sometimes we do things like, we don't have to point them at people usually because it's movie magic. You can angle the person off and they can just point, because I always feel bad pointing a gun at people, even when they're fake. It makes me feel uneasy. But knowing that they're not real guns puts me at ease. But sometimes we have to point a fake gun like that at somebody, and you just do it. I check it like 3 times, even though it's not a real gun, but I check it. I'm crazy about it. So that's what we do. Now, these are some of the guns we have. This is a yellow boy in the 1860s. Like I said, I'm not a gun expert. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this know more about replica guns than me. But we bought the ones that look the best, and for our purposes, they're real nice. Like, look at that. We just did Bountiful with this one, and this movie really shined. It looked fantastic. Look at it. This is the real shotgun. And with shotguns, you always open them up and check. They're easy to see if something's in there. But this is a really old shotgun, and it looks great. Just looks great. Use this one a lot. And then we have some guns that are just, I mean, this is clearly just a fake. But again, we treat a gun like this just like a real gun. After we do a take, the armorer or prop master, whoever's in charge of the guns, they'll collect the guns. And they'll lock them up. And then once we go to like for lunch, everyone puts their guns. And then after lunch, he hands them out again. So no one like walks around. Because I've seen people on sets that I was working on, and they, in between takes, they're twirling them, they're pointing them at people, they're taking pictures with the gun to their head. You know, that stuff makes me uneasy, and if it's our set, I put an end to it right away. The other thing, too, is about mixing guns. Is like, these guns all look, but I mean, look at these two right here. You know, one of them is real. Which one? You know, can you tell? No. This is the real one. And this would be the one we would introduce. Like the actor would run around and use this fake one. And then when he had to fire it, if we need a close-up of him firing it, then we'd switch. He'd take this one. And, you know, in the movie, who's to tell? Yeah, is it a couple inches longer? Yeah, maybe an inch or two. Is it, you know, and nobody knows. And it's safe. And then we switch it back. But, you know, someone's got to take care of all this. And the other thing, too, is I'll show you how real, like, you can see the real gun looks exactly like the fake one. And that's true with pistols as well. Like, look at this one. I mean, is this a real one or a fake one? You know, if I put them in here, they kind of all look the same. So look at them, you know. We could plant a couple in here, and those of you that know guns, you'll know what gun this is. But this is one that we introduce, and whenever you pick up a gun like this, you check it. Check it. Nothing in there. There's nothing in there. Nothing in there. But again, you treat it like it's loaded. So as an actor, I would be using this gun here, right? And in movie land, this one's going around and you have it out, and you know, from far away, it pretty much looks like this gun. So unless people are like really, really watching, you get away with it. So he gets it, say he pulls it out. Now let's check this one. Nothing. So he gets it, and then he's going to shoot this guy, and then he'll, you know, gets the gun, and then we'll cut to another angle, closer on the gun, with nobody else in the shot, and then we'll put this one in with one of these blanks. And these blanks here, they don't have a wad, but they're crimped, there's stuff in there, there's gunpowder in there, that'll hurt you. So you have to be real careful where you point these things and how you play with them. So that's the real gun. But look, you know, that's why we treat them all like they're all loaded. Because they all look like guns. They are guns. Even if the fake guns are guns. The other thing you don't ever want to do, and that is to allow anyone to bring live ammunition on a movie set. Not one bullet, not one stray bullet. So we check for that. Like I said, anyone who's coming to the set with a holster, we make sure that the holster doesn't hold real bullets. Like, that looks like a real bullet, right? But look, the firing pin is removed, and some of them shake even. So everyone has their own way. We bought these with, you know, there's no firing pin, there's nothing in it. So that can be a good look for the back of the gun. But I've seen some people, they bring their holster and say, well, I don't have any a gun, so I got the real bullets here. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. So that's that's it. You treat every gun like it's real, and you show up on set, you have some fun, and you're real careful. You can't just show up and make a mess of things. So anyway, that's how we do it. And again, this wasn't made as, a how-to. I'm sure that a number of people will come in and say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm saying what's worked for us. And we've had giant gunfights, we've had fights with all kinds of weapons, and we haven't hurt anyone. And it's pretty easy not to hurt someone with fake guns. I mean, even real guns, if you're careful. Nowadays, the CGI graphics are so good that you can put in the flash, you can put in the smoke, the sound, but, sometimes we want a big flash from a shotgun, and, if you're safe, you should be able to do it. But again, it's a lot of times we'll just put the flash in later, It's safer, and that's what we do. Thanks for watching. Thanks for riding along with us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.